Welcome to Quantum Meets Spirit. These are audio chapters from my book 8, written from lived experience and study of mind, science and spirit. They are shared here in the hope that they may help someone, and not to preach. Foreword by author. 8 is a collection of essays I've written on my blog at quantummeetspirit.com over the years. I've created 8 themes with which to drop them into or rewrite completely. The 8 themes being centred around recovery from addiction, trauma, depression and anxiety. My first book, Gladiators of Light, looked at the rather powerful spiritual and supernatural brushes I'd had after many near-death experiences, and how to overcome addiction with areas of thought popular in self-help, the laws of attraction and spirituality. 8 expands on those ideas and deals with the same issues. The style is very informal, so as to be read in sections and not even in order if you don't want to. I remember in initial recovery, my attention span was extremely limited, and it was easier to digest bits of information at a time. Indeed, having re-edited and rewritten a lot of these essays and compiling them into this book, some of the information is still starting to sink in a little more effectively. I don't pretend to have the ultimate answers. It's just what has worked for me, and simply drawn from many current and past ideas and philosophies of reprogramming your mind, refocusing to the positive. Even the laws of attraction, which is greatly written about now, has a lot of roots in Christ's teachings and Eastern philosophies thousands of years old. But perhaps more importantly, I am most definitely inspired, driven, nudged even, by a great deal of good but powerful spiritual energies and entities. Here is a general explanation of how I have framed these subjects in my own recovery, and on my webpage, quantummeetspirit.com. Quantum Meets Spirit is a page about leading-edge ideas around science and spirit, how it can help people with anxiety, depression, addictions, and in the extreme zone of addiction, isolation, near-death, trauma and loss, and also just help people move to more happy and successful perspectives and therefore lives. My personal answers to moving from those negative areas of life, having experienced them, all lie in the arena of spirit, and actually looking at cutting-edge knowledge about the laws of attraction, neuroscience, and of course, quantum field ideas. Quantum science and spirit are seen as opposites, but with closer inspection actually say the same thing, which impacts our understanding of the universe and ourselves as physical and spiritual beings. We have traditionally looked, particularly in the West, at the human condition with a great deal of psychoanalytical chatter, but should also take into account, in addition to that useful dialogue, how we work with the universe and everything around us within the laws of attraction and our connection with our limited understanding of God and the spirit world from which we come and return. From this perspective and knowing, we have the knowledge and the tools to lead successful, productive and happy lives, without the desperate need to fill those gaps of need and lack, perpetuated by the various forms of negative escapism, notably excessive use of drugs, alcohol, smoking, and the feeling of lack or emotional emptiness. As a writer on this subject matter, I look at all areas of thought that offer a unique perspective into lifestyle, attaining goals, and moving from negative thought patterns. Another perspective perhaps then on what is up to now being labelled self-help. Self-help traditionally has been perceived as a weak position of someone who needs help and assistance to achieve personal fulfillment and their goals. People with negative thought patterns which express in behaviours such as addiction, depression and self-sabotage, or just leading a self-imposed limited life. And that is how it is treated, as powerlessness. We are powerless over any drug or substance or situation we're in, but not how we choose to live or deal with it, or our perspective on it. We are powerless in our self-pity and self-limiting thoughts, but we are powerful when we decide to change our view on everything that limits us, starting with our thoughts. Change your thoughts, change your life. I believe we're dealing with the human condition and approaching it from a new perspective on spiritual and scientific areas, which I've labelled Quantum Meets Spirit. Very simply put, everyone has highs and lows at some point in life to varying extremes. The science world is currently being led by evolving ideas of thought in quantum physics, In spiritual terms, we're also seeing for the first time the common truths that bring us together, a spiritual awakening. My book, Gladiators of Light, was first written many years ago. Since then, I have continued to study and be very much guided in my thoughts in how to overcome all addictions and move to a more productive and happy life. Gladiators of Light was my first powerful brush with what can only be described as the supernatural and the beginning of a genuine conversation and guidance from God and his angels on a constant basis, which continues, trust me, to amaze me as well. My perspectives have become a little more rounded and educated to the subject matter. But I like Gladiators of Light, as it reveals the naive me discovering a lot of the powerful truths that I further talk about in later books and articles. I decided not to edit it to make it more concise or polished, as I quite like the rambling conversational style that evolved mostly out of shock and trying to come to understand with what I had experienced. There is a spiritual awakening across the globe, and of course, and therefore a greater awareness of the physical and so-called paranormal around us, as we experience a new perspective of this dimension and the next. Love and connection with others and connection with God release all the physical effects of anxiety and depression, a divine blanket, if you like. Humour, biggest release of stress. Don't take yourself so seriously either. This book and the essays within it are just a speculation, not an entire answer, from someone who has moved on from extreme trauma. It is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. Eleanor Roosevelt. Be proud of who you are now, where you are now, and where you know you are going. Think in the spiritual realm, and the physical takes care of itself.